One of the main issues with this roster was the construction of it, and GM James Jones spoke out yesterday, and we got an article from Dwayne Rankin breaking down James Jones' thoughts about some of the depth positions, especially a point guard with this rotation. Does he want one? Does he expect one? What are some of the changes that James Jones would like to see throughout the offseason? We're going to be breaking that all down on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, but before we dive in on all of this Phoenix Suns news, 96% of our viewers are not subscribed, so we'd greatly appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button, as this is the place for daily Suns news with all the rumors, all the speculation. Will be here throughout the offseason with daily uploads, so this is the home for you. Without further ado, though, let's dive into this topic at hand. Make sure to have a snack, as it's going to be a jam-packed episode. And like I mentioned in the introduction, James Jones, the Phoenix Suns GM, speaks out on this roster. And that was one of the main things that I kind of wanted to dive into, because going into the start of this season, I was very, very perplexed with how the Phoenix Suns handled their offseason last year. Obviously, trying to move off of Chris Paul's contract, DeAndre Ayton wasn't really working. There were some changes that needed to be made with this roster. And to be honest, I don't believe that they were put in the right direction. Obviously, they went out and got Bradley Beal, who's a nice scorer, but having no point guard on this roster clearly limited how this offense was going to get ready and set up. So as we dive into this article from Dwayne Rankin, he says, did the Phoenix Suns need a guard? GM James Jones isn't so sure, as he is confident that the Phoenix Suns do not need one. So we want to look at some quotes here from this article. The first one we can look at is talking about Matt Ishiba, where he was asked about, do they need a point guard? And he said, it was up to James Jones to create the roster's construction. You should ask him. So when I asked James Jones that question, this was his response. I think the team could benefit from having a point guard. I believe this team could benefit from having backup forwards, backup centers. I still always go back to try your best players on the floor. That's a narrative we hear a lot. Point guard, sure, that's great. Who do you want? Who is available given the way we're built? Who can we fit with this group? Whose game seamlessly fits with the group? And when you put that player on the floor and you take the ball out of someone's hands, whose hands are you putting it out, and who are you putting in that position? So James Jones kind of, giving a little weird backhanded comment for the backup point guard, saying basically if we brought in a backup point guard, who would you want? Kind of asking that question, who would you guys like to see? And saying if they even came out on the court, would they be able to give up to the ball to the scorers? Would they hog the ball? Would they do all these things? And James Jones, to answer your question, sir, I have something to say here, because I truly believe that if you got that point guard, we would have been A-okay. You have someone to set up this offense. You have somebody to get this offense identity set every single game. It's going to be A-okay. And you go after a point guard that's not going to be a true scorer. Go after a guy like Mike Conley. Go after a guy like CJ and I brought up in a past video in TJ McConnell. A guy who's going to give the ball to those stars. Even a guy in Tyus Jones. I know his contract is a little up there, but he could have been even a guy that you could have went after and got and utilized for this team. There are an abundance of play-first point guards that go to set up the offense, and that's what you need to be looking for with this Phoenix Suns core. I keep stressing it enough, but you need that identity center. You need that person to get this offense going, because then you run into games where we saw in the playoffs where Booker and Beal are bringing up the ball and just shot chucking. Three, miss. No one's going to the rack. No one's setting up no pick and roll. No one's getting any rotations in. No one's doing anything like that. And you could blame that on Frank Vogel. You can blame it on the head coach. But I'm blaming it on James Jones. You built this roster. You put this team together thinking that it was going to succeed. And really, did you think that Devin Booker and Bradley Beal were able to be working as a 1-2 guard duo? I personally did not think so. Yes, they both can play make, but Devin Booker is known for his shooting, for his catching up fire ability. Same thing as Bradley Beal. So having these one of them as the point guard, as the playmaker, did not make sense. Having them be the 2-3, running KD at the 4, yeah, sure, that makes sense. Having another shooter on the wing to help out with scoring, but you already have that in Grayson Allen. So again, you need that point guard, and extending Grayson Allen as well, and wanting to keep him in the starting lineup and keep him with this team for the foreseeable future. Desperately need a point guard. If we want to keep diving in, looking at some more stuff, we can see that the Suns, like I mentioned, traded starting point guard CP3 to acquire Bradley Beal from Washington last offseason, and they also dealt Paul's backup Cameron Payne to San Antonio. The Suns saved $26.4 million in taxes with the Payne trade and Bol signing, but would end up going over the league's second salary tax apron, which limits roster flexibility. So obviously moving off campaign was the smart decision, getting him out and getting him traded. Obviously we saw him get bought out, then move around place to place and stuff like that. Was in Milwaukee, then went over to Philly to finish off the end of the season. But ultimately, in my eyes, you need a point guard. Trading away CP3, trading away campaign should have put that boat in motion. Should have put that deer in headlights screaming at you. Point guard, point guard, point guard, facilitator, facilitator, facilitator. Someone to get the offense going. But no, that is not the case. And as James Jones keeps speaking, he says it's more than just a position like a point guard or a small forward. It's the actual player that you can go and get or do what you have. If you had the point guard that would be the best fit for this group, would find him if available. He added, I don't run away from saying we could benefit from having a point guard, but he does not agree that that is the solution or the answer to a ton of their problems. So James Jones basically saying, yes, the point guard could help out. Yes, it could be a piece of need, but it's not the piece that we're looking for. Like he mentioned a little bit earlier in this article here, he's talking about he believes this team could benefit from having backup forwards, backup centers. So ultimately, James Jones knows that this team needs depth. It needs some other pieces alongside Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. Because guys like Eric Gordon had some shining moments, but had some fading moments. Guys like Royce O'Neal, same exact thing. And even with Nurkic and Eubanks, you need that rebounding beast of a paint center, especially going in this tough Western Conference with teams like Minnesota, who have great big men, Denver, who have great big men, even Oklahoma City Thunder, building up Chet Holmgren to be their star-stacked big men. All the top teams across the Western Conference have their solidified big men, and the Suns desperately, desperately need that. In a video previously on the channel, you guys can go check it out. CJ and I kind of broke down some pieces that we would like the Suns to get. We mentioned TJ McConnell. We mentioned Andre Drummond. Those are some pieces that I think James Jones does agree with and could go after. And with Andre Drummond being a free agent, I do think that's a possibility. With him speaking about the point guard is absolutely ridiculous. If we want to look at this stat here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the assist-to-turnover ratio across the entire NBA. And if you look and see, the Phoenix Suns are ranked 25th across the entire NBA, going to show you that no playmaker is here. No one is setting up this offense. No one is getting these key players in their spots. Like we mentioned, Kevin Durant came out and said that Frank Vogel was just using him as a spot-up shooter in the corner. He was frustrated with that offense, and you can bring it back all to the coach. You can blame Frank Vogel. You can say he didn't have the right sets. He didn't have the right adjustments. This team wasn't built around him, and that is sure. You can 100% bank on that, but in my opinion, it all starts with James Jones going for that Bradley Beal trade, because in my honest opinion, I know we had that no trade clause, but there were other teams that he was interested in joining besides the Phoenix Suns. It's not like he said, oh, I don't want to go to 29 other teams. I just want to go to Phoenix. So, in my opinion, I believe it is James Jones' fault for trading for Bradley Beal, because now they are locked into his big deal, $50 million, have no way of trading him because he has a no-trade clause, and with his injury history last season and from the year prior, no team is going to want to trade for a star. If they're not trading for Zach LaVine making $40 million, they're not trading for Bradley Beal, who's making $50 million and has a player option. So the Suns have a bunch of questions and a bunch of answers that need to be sound by the end of the offseason and by the start of the regular season. So if we want to look at it, is James Jones right? Do you guys agree? Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think that the Suns don't need a backup point guard? Do you think that with Book and Beal they'll be A-okay? Are you in the boat with me? Running Book and Beal at those 2-3 position might be better, and bringing in that facilitator to help out would be solid. Having Grayson Allen come off the bench as a six-man would be a key scorer for this bench unit. Could be that Eric Gordon replacement. And like we mentioned, going after some big men, going after some 3-and-D wings. I know they are limited being in the second apron. They're going to have to sign veteran minimum contracts. It is going to be tough for this Phoenix Suns team to really build unless they trade one of their 3 stars from that nucleus. But it does not look like Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker are going to be available, or Matasheba does not want to trade them. So I do expect some rough things around the edges to really get this team to its greener pastures. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you guys think that James Jones is correct, that they do not need a point guard, or do you guys on the side where they do need a point guard to set up their offense like myself? Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode here on Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. If you guys enjoyed the content as we push for 1,000 subscribers here, check out the videos linked at the top. Hit the like button as we'd greatly appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Like, again, this is the hub for daily Suns content. So if you guys enjoy, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next video from Bruce Velez. Peace out and have a great rest of your day. Go Phoenix Suns.